Hey guys, welcome back. If you didn't watch the episode before, I highly recommend going back and catching that one so that this one will make more sense. We talked about the core belief that most of us at our unconscious level, our core belief is a judgment that I am not safe. This world is not safe. You don't have my back, so I have to have my back. On the inside, that's the equivalent of your true self going into hiding, going out of alignment, and then your sweet little soul having to step in front and bow up, have to protect you, have to grab control, have to ruminate, be perfect. Perfectionism is a common sign of mistrust. Because I don't trust everybody else is going to do their job and everything's going to work out. I have to analyze it, be perfect, figure it all out. In that space, our soul gets tired. It gets weary. We need people's approval or reject people's approval. We let others tell us what to do, or we never let someone tell us what to do. Any extreme of all or nothing usually is going to be very unhealthy. So on the inverse, if I am able to receive feedback and open hand and say, hey, I'm curious about that. Let me consider it. Let me think about it. I'm excited to know more. That is more like I'm holding it outside. I'm not just absorbing it like a child, like an infant that just sucks everything in, but I'm also not pushing everything away in a form of judgment that everything and everyone says that there's some kind of angle they're working. The hard thing about a psychoanalytic theory of what I'm using right now, not that you need to know the term, but the hard thing is I'm trying to tell you something very abstract in a one-sided conversation. So this can be a little confusing, and I'm sorry. I know I'm also a fire hydrant, so I'm trying to talk slow and make it as applicable as possible. So I'm going to share about Andrew. And Andrew loves his family. He's a friendly guy. He loves what he does. He's really good, IT, tech, and he has now started a large enterprise that's going really well. They're in the black, projected to make a ton of money this year. And all of a sudden, he started feeling faint. He was feeling like his low blood sugar, like what's going on, and ended up that he had a heart attack. And he went to the doctor, finding out what is going on with my heart. He didn't realize, after multiple consultations with medical doctors that said your heart is perfectly fine, you are having a panic attack. He didn't realize how much by not dealing with things that it's underground, and yet there's an ecosystem of things living inside. My last video, I covered how majestically complex, multifaceted, and that we're actually living in different realms, that there's time, that parts of us can get stuck or trapped in past timelines. And then there can be time loops that are happening while we're just trying to go to work and feed our family and, have a fun evening. We don't realize how many layers and dimensions are going on. So I started working with Andrew. Obviously, this is a pseudo name, and I've changed all the identifying information, but the substance is so common to many people that I work with, and myself and all of us, right? That he's like, there's no way I'm having a panic attack. I don't have anxiety. Like I literally am the most relaxed, easygoing, happy guy. My life is great. There's nothing to be stressed or anxious about. Andrew didn't realize that internally, his core belief was, I am too much of a burden. Mom can't handle it. Mom's a single mom. I love her. I see how stressed she is. And so the little boy in him developed a shame belief. Don't have too many needs. Don't have too many emotions or problems. Be the strong one. Do you know anyone in your life that they're the pillar? They are the strong one. They are there for everybody. They're very likable and agreeable. In that place, that's a great characteristic, but he didn't know that became a default, which was causing him to neglect himself. He was starting to unconsciously ruminate, never told anybody until his sessions, like he's starting to get really annoyed at his wife. He's starting to feel used and taken advantage of by his family. He's starting to really struggle in relationships, even at work, because he's so friendly and easygoing, but he doesn't have really good boundaries. So people are kind of taking advantage of that. His kids aren't always super respectful, and his wife is putting more and more on his plate, But because he had that inner vow, that belief, I can't have too many needs. I can't have boundaries. I can't have too many emotions or reactions because everybody else has so much on their plate that then I just need to absorb it and take it. Male or female. Have you ever felt a little bit similar? That you're just trying to get along to go along, or go along to get along? I don't know. You're just trying to be good and easygoing and everything just be fine. And yet there's things that are starting to bother you. But it's not big. You don't want to like bring it up and mess with things. You don't want conflict. Many times that's one type of shame. So our first belief is, God, you left me down here. So there's a judgment. You left me. I have to protect myself. The second insidious lie is, God left and people aren't going to protect you because there's something about you. So there's something that causes others to reject you, to not be there for you. There's something about you. That's the second insidious lie that the enemy plants anywhere from conception all the way throughout our life at any point. And we'll take in that belief and go, oh gosh, if you knew everything about me, I think you wouldn't like me. There's this core belief, 99.9% of us on the population. It's obviously not a real statistic, but it's pretty common that we all have some kind of a belief that this part of me, that I shouldn't have too many needs or emotion or questions, or I shouldn't have too much need for love or acceptance or belonging. So I need to be tough. I need to be hard. I can't let my vulnerability be seen, because nobody's going to want me, because it's not going to be received. It's not going to be safe. If I tell people I love them and then they reject me, that's humiliating. That evokes so much shame that then people stay in performance, like the 1950s where moms were cleaning and doing chores and organizing instead of sitting down with little Johnny or Jenny saying, I love you. What's your favorite color? What are you thinking about? Oh, I see you. Oh, you look upset. What are you upset about? That's serve and return based on Harvard research that helps adults become really healthy. Because in our infancy, our childhood, we had somebody who saw us and know us. That doesn't happen when we have a shame belief and we're not seen and we're not known by ourselves, much less others. Most people are so convinced that their issues come from the people in their lives. And if they just get this person out of their life, everything will get better. If I just change my job, if I just get a nose job, if I just don't have that boss, or I divorce this person, or I get married, then all my issues go away. Actually, the root of that tends to be, I am accidentally neglecting a portion of myself. You and I are neglecting something inside that we thought, that's a bad part of me. That's not good. I get in trouble when I act out in anger, or I don't have good thoughts or feelings when people see this part of me. And it could be anything. And you have to think in child terms, because the enemy is strategically, as young as possible, trying to get us to abdicate leadership by getting us to believe there is something about me that if you knew that and you saw that, you would reject me. You would think I'm not credible or smart or good enough. And so most people, again, are trying to do mindset work. They're trying to manifest their destiny. They're trying to get new habits and routines and New Year's resolutions instead of realizing these are deeply held and they're in other time, realm, and dimension. And there's a strategic way that in the Restoring-Self-Cohesion model that we teach our therapists at Crawford Clinics how to actually enter in, peel the layers off, and bend down and connect, reattach with the parts of us that we have actually been neglecting. We blame others, like Andrew blaming his wife that she's putting so much on him, when he didn't realize he was neglecting himself. And by not fully showing up and saying, hey, sugar, let's reassess the fairness of our boundaries. I know you've got a lot and so do I. And showing up authentically, because he wasn't doing that, he was projecting his mom, who was overwhelmed and busy as a single mom. So he was projecting that on his wife, silencing himself, shutting down his own reaction, having resentment toward her for that. And that shut him down. So then this resentment and this bitterness is growing, where he's starting to look at porn. He's starting to kind of be curious about emotional entanglements in other relationships. It's against his character, but he's finding himself drifting. He's finding himself drifting because his inner world is not congruent. He has parts of him stuck back here, not getting his emotional needs met, while he's trying to be a man of integrity and character and love his family and stay present as a dad and as a husband, a provider, and a boss. Do you see the discrepancy? And in your own life, where might there be some discrepancies? My greatest goal on this channel is for you to be curious about your reactions, about the knee-jerk stuff that comes out and you're like, why did I do that? Why did I just say that? Why do I feel like this? It doesn't make sense. If you can't talk yourself out of those emotions and reactions and habits, odds are good that's because there's a different part of you trapped in a different time, realm, or dimension. It's in misalignment. And so we use our symptom as an opportunity to find out, to discover, to get low and go slow, to be kind and curious, to go after those precious parts of us that have been held under a stronghold. And we break the assignment of fear, the assignment of rejection, of shame that's been on that part of us. We reject the core belief that there is something about me, that if somebody knew all of me, if they saw all of me, they wouldn't want me, that I'm not good enough, that I am an imposter. Those are core beliefs inherent to shame. And shame is the core belief that there's something about me that's not good. When we reject the belief of shame and reject the belief that there's badness in me that I need to be afraid of, and we welcome the belief that I am good, I am loved with my flaws and imperfections, all of this is accepted, I bring it in the light, and I'll talk about making it no longer a secret to my inner world. That it's like, hey, I accept the part of me that's resentful. I accept the part of me that has lots of needs and lots of emotions. You are welcome at the table. I am so glad you're here. It's okay that you're here. I love you. I acknowledge you. I accept you. It's like I'm welcoming this whole thing back into this time, realm, and dimension. Then your conscious committee can work through. And that's that process unique to each person. I can't tell you what you're working through would look like. That's why you want to go to therapy at Crawford Clinics and work through it strategically so you can find out what got stuck. Where's the inner conflict? Where does my soul need to learn to trust like an infant at my mother's breast, which is the process of David as an adult, somehow thousands of years before Erik Erikson, being able to understand that his soul needed to trust like an infant at my mother's breast, showing us how young we are when that lie of shame was likely believed. And when shame was believed, our soul took over and has been overcompensating ever since. By resolving that, clearing that out, and then inviting your spirit to lead. And I'll picture almost like my inner world gives permission for my spirit or my true self to lead in an area where my soul, my flesh, my human understanding has been leading up to this point. When that happens, there's a transformation. You'll notice that self-control with food, with porn, with scrolling social media, with getting work done, with cleaning your house or your car, it's just like it's easier. It's like there's this peace bubble that comes back around you. And we can get triggered and we can kind of hit back. And if you're feeling alone and hopeless and despair and discouraged and like it's cold or it's dark, odds are good you're in a self state that's outside of this time, realm, and dimension. And it's not hard. You just, in your imagination, connect with whatever the primary symptom is, feeling ashamed, feeling alone, feeling unwanted, not good enough, whatever it might be. You're opening the doors, you're opening, peeling layers off, and bending down and hugging this part of you. And now accepting this is a part of me. It's no longer a secret. I don't need to overcompensate. I don't need to protest too much that I struggle with this or I experience this or this is a part of me. And now you allow unconditional love, unconditional compassion, radical acceptance, that your inner world becomes cohesive when we can say, I love you with your flaws and imperfections. And then if you have a faith system, then you can say, hey, Jesus, would you now mature this part of me back to its original design? And that's where many of my clients, I've seen them become more entrepreneurial, more brave. They lean into creativity and the arts, and they go after goals in really big ways because your true self is a creative being. Your true self, when you're leading from your spirit, man, you have vision. You're co-ruling and reigning with Christ. So that means you can see in the future. You can know kind of like your design, your purpose. There's a treasure hunt of discovery, of knowing the thing you're on the planet to do. Many people in this generation are wondering, why am I here? What's my purpose? Is there meaning to life? It is only your spirit that has that answer. So if you're struggling with those questions, it tells you that is your soul that's in control asking the question, because the soul is kind of that transitionary middle realm, and it doesn't have those answers. It's looking at the natural of like, I got an education I'm not even using, let's say, or I want a relationship, I don't have one, or my kid isn't even talking to me, or now we have this issue at work, and what is the meaning of all of this? That's the natural realm. That's the soul having to kind of wrestle through. But when you step into your true self and you say, Spirit man, come forward. I call my spirit to attention. And when your spirit is leading, you have vision. You have hope that doesn't make sense. You have a capacity to be resilient, to get back up and go after your dreams and your goals. In that space, you'll feel passion. You'll feel purpose and agency to go after those dreams. You'll also encourage others and call them into their true self. You'll be bigger than just living for yourself like an orphan. You're actualizing into, hey, I see this in you. I call that out. I recognize this in you. I love seeing when you respond this way. Have you ever noticed you're really good at writing or arts? You're speaking into them and you're calling them out of the natural and helping them see themselves from their spirit man as well. When that happens, your spirit is now like in happy euphoria wonderland, because we're made to encourage. We're made to call out the strength and the beauty in others, to be so confident in our own identity that I can't help but bless and build up everyone around me. Not in like a codependent way, but in like an affirmed, strong, confident way that you're calling out their identity, and then you are excited to cheer them on. And so as you're working through your own work, continue to engage with us. We have social media. There's always crawfordclinics.com, therapy resources, e-courses, all kinds of content. And as always, I'm happy to speak if you have an organization that you'd love to go deeper and apply these for yourself, your family, your people that you lead. Thanks, guys, and have a great day.